And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, a slave, a slave, a slave, a slave.
All right, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Right, now word mark goes back to the Greek charagma, which means incision, and a printed or stamped mark, man, which that's talking about the Alpha Egypt, man. You know, he's going to call everybody upon the face of the earth, the Elisa Esau, the so-called white man, to cause everybody to be chipped. And it's going to be a mandatory thing, man. You know, and this is a major policy that we wait on, man. You know, it's the chip, it's charagma. You know, when you go to the root word, it's charax, which means
thing inserted.
Yeah, pale. You know, which they have to use an instrument, which is this, what you can see. They have to use that in order for that chip to be inserted inside of you, man. You know?
All right, continuing on, verse 17 in Revelation, the 13th chapter, and that no man might buy or sell.
Yeah, so without the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, no man won't be able to buy or sell it.
Okay, yeah, brother. And by the way, yeah, this is Russell from Minneapolis. But at any rate, my question is concerning the scriptures that say that it would be a safe place to get away from Babylon at the time in which we find ourselves in right now, where they're pushing that mark, they're pushing this thing on this microchip, putting it inside of people's skin. So I just want to get a little take from you guys. What's your take on that?
Like what people got to understand is, number one, the microchip is not the mark of the beast. It's not. They've been talking about a microchip since the 90s out, and the microchip has not come. But you know what has been here since forever? Every false religion on the face of the planet is a beast. So if you're a Muslim, you have a mark of a beast, because that's Islam. When it's talking about the mark of the beast in Revelations, it's talking about the chief beast, meaning the one that all the other beasts follow, which is the so-called white man and his Christianity. That's what make it like when you read Ezekiel, it says we became a prey to all the beasts of the field. That beast is plural, meaning every beast. Okay. So whether you call them Chinese, Japanese, Islam, Arabs, Africans, white people, all of those nations are regarded to as beasts. And you know what they all have? Religion. Religion is the chief beast. Christianity is the master beast.
Is because they want that evil power they have received from that mark of the beast, that white Jesus, man. Some of you have the mark of the beast. And when you're looking for the mark of the beast, brother, don't look at the obvious brother. Don't look at the brother that's in the hood, you understand, with black clothing on. That's who you look at. See, he got the mark of the beast. See, he's a nigger. See, he hates everybody. You're looking at the mark of the beast there. That's not where you should be looking at it. You should be looking at the mark of the beast in that well-dressed preacher that's in your church. That's where the mark of the beast is living. Like, remember, the mark of the beast ain't gonna display itself openly. You gotta catch him out there. Amber Fry drew out the mark of the beast in that courtroom, man. Mm-hmm. Like, because she was a white woman beloved by Caesar, the mark of the beast came out of the judge and the family and the bailiff. But the judge could not bear herself when it came to that mark of the beast. When it was time to put that mark in her hand and in her forehead, okay? When it was time to do this, to save someone who is of the mark of the beast, Amber Fry. And if you can conquer that spirit, damn a microchip. You want to see the mark of the beast come out of black preachers? Oh boy. Let black people start taking on that spirit of righteousness, and they'll bust out, and then you'll see the mark of the beast. Then you'll see it. You know how you bring the mark out? You come up against what Caesar loves, which is the spirit of Satan, which is the worship of these beastly people.
Tell me more, please.
Yes. So here's the deal. Amazon is reportedly testing body scan payment technology. This kind of creeps me out a little bit. According to the New York Post, the e-commerce giant is trying out the system called Orvo, which uses biometric technology. The way it works, as it stands, is Amazon Prime users would scan their hand to ring up a purchase instead of a card. The goal is to roll it out at Whole Foods by the beginning of next year. Dina?
Okay, I have so many concerns because that means then your fingerprints are out there.
Yep, not just your finger. And I mean, like, what if you just wave and now you have a whole roll of cereal, you know, that you just bought?
Why not just put microchips in our arms and we just bump up next to anything?
That's what we bought.
Why not just put microchips in our arms and we just bump up next to anything?
That's where we're headed. That is the thing. I'm with you, Dina, because, like, as soon as you're like, oh, it's okay to, like, use my hand, and then next we got a chip in our arm. Yeah. And then next we got a chip in our arm. Yeah. And then next we got a chip in our arm.
Yeah, I know they're already doing that for some.
In the quiet town of Mount Vernon, Washington, Emil Grafstra has capabilities unlike anyone around. To access his storage facility, all he has to do is raise his hand. To get into his car, again, put out his hand. Grafstra has 4 radio frequency identification tags in his hand and arm. A doctor inserted Grafstra's first tag 10 years ago, and since then he's inserted implants into more than 700 people. He also partners with more than 100 body piercers nationwide, who have implanted thousands more.
Let me show you this. I have 7 implants on my body right now. Sensors in the tips of my fingers, sensors in the backs of my wrist, one under my arm that gives you my body temperature, and in my hand here can be scanned by a phone and can either give you messages, or I can program it to open hotel doors when we're on tour. Tonight,
the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips. They do whatever they want to do. What we want doesn't matter anymore. It's their agenda, it's their plans that matter. They have all the money they want. They can make all the money they want. They have a machine that can make all the money. It's not about money. It's about control. It's about their vision of how they want to see the world.
All right, so what we're going to get into today is we're going to get into the mark of the beast. There's a lot of controversy for the RFID chip, the mark of the beast, or what they say is the mark of the beast. No emotions, it's not emotional. It's not a game. You got to properly bring out the understanding of the Bible. All right. So we have become the enemies to people simply because they have the wrong understanding of what the mark of the beast is. And we don't. And the point is, we don't want to get caught up in sensationalism, or we don't want to get caught up in these Hollywood movies that people go to. We're going to go through the precepts and break it down and rightly divide the word of truth. So there's people in the world of Israel today that trouble men that are not rooted and grounded with false doctrine. All right. So the point is, what people do is people separate themselves. So that the RFID chip is being taught by Great Millstone. And the thing about camps in the truth, when they separate themselves from another camp, they'll come up with another doctrine just to show how they have separated themselves from what they were once part of. Right? You know, the history of Great Millstone, they broke off from the house of David, and they didn't originally teach the RFID chip being the mark of the beast. We have an elder that goes all the way back to those One West days, so we know how it was broken down. Right? We talked to elders about priest Kahan and different elders, the elders from the house of David at the Hebrew Summit. We talked to all of those elders. So, you know, we understand through the precepts what is the proper understanding. All right, without man leaning on his own understanding. Man want to do his own thing. Man want to separate himself, and not a Sabbath is based off the new moon. Or man want to separate himself. Give me that in Proverbs 18:1 real quick. And now the RFID chip is the mark of the beast. You can't separate yourself and do your own thing. And that's purely where that doctrine comes from man separating himself and doing his own thing. There's no precepts on that. You ask brothers to pull precepts to show an RFID chip in the Bible. There is no precepts. They go to one word, and we're going through the spirit and mercy of the Most High, obliterate that, man. Obliterate all of that madness and folly.
So many people in Sweden are lining up to get these microchips that the country's main shipping company says that it can't even keep up with the number of requests.
Really?
What in
no
the
way I would do that.
What in the Illuminati, mark of the beast, witchcraft is going on over there in Sweden?
And Steve, this is happening here. I don't want to get biblical, but you know, I've heard about this mark of the beast business my whole life. I think it's true. I think biblical prophecy. The more I'm hearing about this, everything we do. So we can talk about this, but this isn't coming. It's already here.
Right. But, and in China, this is the tip of the proverbial iceberg.
Gonna get a woman pregnant that is married.
The mark of the beast is the philosophies of this wicked world. It's not a microchip. All right? They say it's a microchip, but we all probably got a microchip in our phones right now. All right? We see that as more so spiritual, having a mark in your mind, accepting the philosophies and the doctrines and the wicked religions and the ways of the society. What we're saying is they're already scanning your credit card. They're already scanning. They scan the products. The products technically got a chip on them already because they got a barcode. When you go to any store now, you scan a damn loaf of bread, and it goes through a scan because they already got a barcode. That's the same technology as the chip. The only difference is if you put it in your body, and common sense should tell you not to put anything in your body. But if you take a chip out of your body, you no longer got the mark. So now what happens if you remove the chip? You don't got the mark no more? So it has to be something more spiritual and something more permanent. So that's why I said their false doctrine is going to be taken and they deceive them that receive the mark of the beast. I'm into some. John 3:16 is the mark of the beast. Right? That's the mark of the beast.
So on top of that, many Swedish companies are asking their employees to get implants to pass through access points and to pay for conveniences. Now the red flags start going up. So for our red flags, we have to turn to legal media analyst Lionel. Lionel, thanks for joining us on this. I know you've got some red flags, and I feel like I'm reading out the book of Revelation possibly. So what concerns come to you arise from humans microchipping themselves?
This is the mark of the beast. This is, listen, no, let me tell you something. I mean, I'm no biblical scholar here, but it's amazing the parallels made. I wish they'd stop with this. They go, we're going cashless. We've been cashless. Where's this cash? We've been cashless, but that's not the issue. One of these days, they're going to take these little tiny RFID, radio frequency identification chips, about the size of a grain of rice. And they're going to be cool, Scotty. Oh, they're going to be waiting in line overnight to get implanted. And they're going to say, look at this. I can go to the drugstore. I can go to a cab. Isn't it great? How cool am I? Look, I've got this little embedded chip. And they'll say, they have medical records. And you're going to do that to grandma and grandpa in case, God forbid, they have some kind of dementia they're walking off. I mean, after all, we have it in our dogs, right? It's like OnStar for human beings. But here's the catch.
The book of Revelations, chapter 14, verse 9. I'm going to read the scripture first. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark, which is the RFID chip, don't let no other camp tell you otherwise, in his forehead.
And like I said, the word mark, worshiping is one thing. Being a part of the system, but the icing on the cake is when you receive that mark. And the mark is a physical thing. When you look up the word mark, it's from the Greek word charagma, which means to put an imprinted thing in your hand or on your forehead. So it's an actual physical thing, because you can worship them, but the actual the ultimate thing to do is to receive that physical mark. Go ahead.
Or in his hand. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture.
That's when the missiles are shot on this place. That's when the Lord come back in his ship and shoot lasers on this place. Go ahead.
And to the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the...
What does it mean he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels? Because if it's talking about hell, I can picture this.
You down there in hell, right? You see people burning, and you got bleachers. You got like 1,000,001 bleachers, right? And you got angels sitting down there eating popcorn, watching you, you know, with their legs folded, watching you get burnt in hell. You know, you got a program. What's going to happen next? Okay, the gargoyles are going to come out. Yeah, I want to see this. That's not going to happen. The presence of the angels mean when this society goes down, the angels are going to be above beaming us up, and they're going to be watching. They're going to be watching this destruction too.